Today I'm going to show you some advanced graphing functionality in R. We're going to be working with Poole and Rosenthal's DW-nominate dataset, which is a measure of congressional ideology. Let's say that we wanted to compare the Democratic and Republican parties over time. Maybe we want to answer the question, is Congress more polarized than before? So I've already brought in the data, and now I'm going to subset the data so I can make those plots. Our main data is named DW-nominate, and I'm going to subset it into Democrats and Republicans. So the command is pretty simple. Republicans, > sign, dash, and the command is subset, then the name of the big data set, so DW-nominate, then subset, and then the variable is D100R200, which is whether they are Democratic or Republican, and so Republicans are 200, so equals 200. We'll just run that, and then it subset our data, and then we'll do the same thing with Democrats, but change the variable to 100, because Democrats are labeled as 100 in the data set. So next, I want to look at this over time, so we'll do a couple of different Congresses, the 90th Congress and 95th Congress, and see them over time. So we're going to further subset the data so that we can see this over time. So it's the same basic idea. Say we want to do the Republicans in the 90th Congress, we'll do the same, > sign, dash, command subset, but this time the bigger data set that we're getting from is just the Republicans, and then the subset is going to be from Congress when it's 90, so it's going to get the Republicans from the 90th Congress only. So we'll run that, and then we'll do the same for a couple of different years using the same syntax. And so here we have Republicans 90, Democrats 90, Republicans 95, and so on, so that we have all of these years subsetted out. Alright, so now let's graph them. So I think a nice way to do that would be a density plot, which is pretty easy to do in R. The command is just plot, then density, then which group you want. And so we want to look at, first let's do Republicans in the 90th Congress, and we want to plot their ideology score. The X limit is where we want the X-axis to go to, and the Y limit is where we want the Y-axis to start and end, and main is for the title. So we'll run that, and we'll see we got a density plot. It goes from -1 to 1 like we specified, and 0 to 5. Like we specified, there's our title, and there's the density plot. So this isn't too bad, but I think we can make it a lot better. So how about we plot both of them, both the Democrats and the Republicans for the 90th Congress, and add some color. So that looks like this. So we have the same plot function, plot density, Republicans 90, the X-lim, the Y-lim, and the main, but now we'll use this polygon function, and we'll do the density plot of the Republicans, same thing with the Democrats. Here we can say the color for red, say the color for blue, and this is going to show them both on the same plot. So we'll run that. And so here we have the density plot for the Democrats and there for the Republicans. So this looks pretty cool. You can see the differences between the two parties in the 90th Congress. But we can even make this a little bit better, because right now you can't see the overlap of where they are because they're two solid colors. So we're going to use the RGB, which stands for red, green, blue. So we're going to change red here and use color equals RGB. And then these four numbers give you the color. So the first value gives you the red, the second the green, the third the blue, and the fourth is an alpha value, which is actually how transparent do you want the color to be. So if you set this to less than 1, it'll make the color transparent. So 100 is for red, and want a color for blue, we can use 0.61 and 0.75. So when we do that, it'll be really cool and make both of these transparent so we can still see where the Republicans were and see this overlap here, which is what we're interested in. So now we can actually do the same thing with all of those graphs. So we can just use the same to do for the 95th, just change everything to 95 there, keep all the same parameters, run that. So this is what the 95th Congress looks like. The same the same for everything after that. Look at the 100th, the 105th, the 111th. Plot all of those. There's 111th, 105th, 110th. These are all nice, but they're just individual plots, and they aren't that helpful to us because you can't see them all at once very well. So we can actually plot all of these at the same time. To do that, we're going to use a command par mfrow. So you just start off your series of plots with that, and that's going to make them into one nice graphic with 3 rows and 2 columns. So we put all that information back in there, the different plots we want. Run that all together. And we have our 5 plots right here all side by side. So now we can really easily scan through and see where this overlap was, and we can see that the overlap has really disappeared over time, so it would appear that they are more polarized just from looking at the graphs. So last thing we can do to make this a little bit nicer is add a title to the very top. And since we're using par mfrow, we'll need to have the title command. We can call this polarization in Congress. Make sure that's in quotes, and then comma outer equals true. That puts at the top, and we'll see what this does. Run that. And so it put it at the top here, but you can see that it's cut in half because there isn't really enough room on the screen for R to write all 5 plots and the title. So what we need to do is change this outer margin here, and we can look at, this is what all of the plots actually look like to R. So there's this outer margin here, a main margin, the plot area, and so we just need to tell R to have this outer margin. And so to do that, we just need to tell R to have an outer margin. So we'll put that in the par mfrow command, and we do OMA for outer margin equals C222. Make sure we have enough parentheses, and highlight the whole thing, and run that again. It resizes everything, has that outer margin, and puts our nice title on there. So that was an overview of how to make density plots that can overlap and be transparent all onto one graphic in R.